Russia is populated with 144 million people. With Russia being the largest country in the world by area, there are about 120 ethnic groups in Russia who speak more than 100 languages. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 Russian mysteries. Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. A spectacular piece of land called the Kamchatka Peninsula stretches across 780 miles of the far east side of Russia and is surrounded by both the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Okhotsk. Its unique geography makes it susceptible to harsh winds and increased precipitation, so its 300,000 human inhabitants are used to stormy weather. The animals on the Kamchatka Peninsula, though, have had a harder time adapting to the climate in the less developed parts of the plateau. How did 5 fully sized bears and a variety of other healthy animals turn up dead in one remote location of the Kamchatka Peninsula? The peninsula is infamous for housing nearly 160 volcanoes, 29 of which have proved to be active. Because volcanic research is so dangerous, it takes persistent, daring, and curious explorers to take the plunge into this undiscovered territory. However, 2 volcanic researchers by the names of Vladimir Leonov and Viktor Deryagin decided that they would be the first to walk along uncharted territory within these volcanic mountain ranges. At first, the task didn't seem too daunting. Loads of tourists and researchers alike have travelled deep into the Kamchatka Peninsula to see bears fishing off from streams, watch the hot geysers explode with mist, or simply gawk at the beauty of the lush green landscape. So far, nothing sinister had ever happened to anyone exploring the peninsula until 1975. Leonov and Deryagin dared to venture beyond the beaten path and into a more remote expanse. They stumbled upon a stretch of land which they reported to be covered in purple, orange, and white hues. Because these colours are not usually seen in nature, they grew suspicious about the likelihood that a volcanic eruption or gas leak caused this spectacular colour arrangement. The researchers' suspicions were confirmed when they noticed dead animals scattered across the ground floor, some in deep holes as if lying in a grave. This grisly scene prompted the researchers to call for backup as they feared that there was something deadly in the air. Fellow research crews take samples from the dead animals to perform remote autopsies, where they discovered that the animals had died from suffocation. Questions swarmed. How can an animal die from suffocation when they are simply walking through open air? The answer was, what the animals were walking through was not hot air at all, but a deadly gas built up from the volcanoes around them that caused them to die from the inside out. They suffocated on their own blood, as it was discovered that all the blood from the animals' hearts was found within their lungs instead. Devastated by the extermination of these wild animals, Leonov named this part of the peninsula the Valley of Death. This name has deterred other visitors from visiting the region, as they don't want to be exposed to the mysterious gas that has caused so much devastation. Though the capabilities of volcanoes are still largely unexplained by science, it is likely that the Valley of Death is so deadly because of the increased concentration of CO2 in the air. Of course, animals still venture through the area not knowing its dangerous climatic features. However, rangers are quick to spot dead animals and relocate them to avoid luring predators and scavengers into this area, only for them to meet their deadly fate as well. Leonov dedicated his volcanic research legacy to this area. He wants to inspire and motivate fellow researchers to keep exploring and researching it, as he believes it will bring great knowledge about volcanic features and the effects of volcanic gases over time. Sidney Riley disappearance. Sidney Riley, formerly known as Sigmund Rosenblum, born in the Marxist revolutionary era of Russia, Riley was immediately introduced to a tumultuous and conflicting political climate growing up. He quickly turned into a criminal and was known to murder people for their fortune, impersonate state officials, and ultimately pass as anyone he needed to be to get by. He was the ultimate conman at the time, until the British Secret Intelligence Service, also known as SIS, caught onto his schemes. Instead of punishing him, though, they decided he would be a useful member of their team on a mission to take down the radical far-left Marxist thinkers and communist supporters in Russia like Vladimir Lenin. And so, Sidney Riley became one of Britain's most infamous spies. Riley's unique set of skills were extremely valuable to the SIS at the time. He had Russian contacts, experience replacing his identity, and devising elaborate schemes. Riley was known for making up outlandish and mystic stories about himself, which lends itself to the idea that Riley truly was one of the greatest conmen of his time. Some of these schemes included impersonating a doctor, impersonating a priest, and even changing his name to work for the British and evade capture each time he crossed borders. Before becoming a spy, Riley was most connected with stealing money and growing his own personal wealth at the expense of others. The SIS aimed to deconstruct and abolish the Bolshevists who wanted a communist state in Russia at the time led by Vladimir Lenin, which, if successful, would ultimately create a dictatorship that would take control of the country. Riley's most prominent scheme was to overtake Vladimir Lenin. However, the plan was ruined as Bolshevist secret policing force infiltrated and nearly caught Riley on his way out. To defeat the communist efforts in Russia, Riley kept in close contact with allies like the United States, who told him that he was oftentimes too risky and needed to be more careful. Once he fled the country, he was advised not to return to Russia but went back to Moscow anyway, where he was ultimately captured. It is rumored that the order to execute Riley came directly from Stalin. One man, Boris Gudz, gives detailed remarks which proves Riley was indeed captured and killed. It is suspected that Riley was lured into the woods at the holding facility where he was being interrogated for government secrets and fatally shot. Some of the famous tales of James Bond were based on Sidney Riley and his quick wit. Though his disappearance and supposed death seemed inevitable due to the dangerous nature of his work as an international spy, Riley's legend persists today. Missing Andrew Shumach. There is an immense amount of pressure in the journalism community to make yourself stand out as a reporter and storyteller that has something nuanced and original to say. Photojournalist Andrew Shumach certainly fell under this industry pressure as he began planning a dangerous adventure to Chechnya, Russia. Shumach began his journey into photojournalism after he graduated from Daytona Beach Community College with a few photography classes under his belt. Shumach started traveling to capture the essence of international life, which he aimed to use to educate people back home and fix the world's problems. He ventured to Europe, then back home, where he landed a position documenting small-town life. However, he felt a void in his career and wanted to do more. At the time, Chechnya was a war zone, rampant with gun violence, raids, torture, and capture. Shumach, being born and raised in the safety of his small suburban community within the United States, was unaware of how truly dangerous the living conditions were in war-ridden places like Chechnya. Despite Shumach's friends and family warning him of the dangers and shocks that would surely come with his travel to Chechnya, he was determined to travel there and document what was happening. With limited funds and a few strips of film, Shumach boarded a plane that would take him to the heart of Chechnya for 3 months. After arriving, Shumach went to the United States Embassy in Moscow to register himself as a US citizen and ultimately see if the embassy would give him traveling advice. One of the officials who spoke to Shumach recalls hearing him speak about wanting to follow the Chechen rebels up a mountain and record what they have to say. He thought they would appreciate him sharing their ideas with the public because it would benefit their cause. But the official to whom Shumach made these regards was instantly worried about the outcome of such a journey. After 6 months, none of Shumach's family members or friends had heard from him until one day, his parents received a package with his knapsack inside and a note that read, "Money is tight, but things are well. Love, Andy." However, his wallet and his passport were both missing from the knapsack, which raised major red flags for his family. Shumach was last seen in 1995 and is still missing abroad, and officials have no idea where he might be. There are several ideas floating around. Shumach might have been captured and interrogated for international secrets that Chechen people might have supposed a journalist like himself would have known. He might have been robbed and left with no way to contact anyone back home. Or most daunting of all is the possibility that he was killed in any major war zone. Professors of journalism have commented on the case, warning young journalists of the potential consequences for listening to the adventure instinct. One professor said that natural-born journalists have an innate need to explore the unknown, but that it is perpetuated by American societal, media-driven, and industrial pressures to romanticize the idea of war climates and impoverished land. But what do you make of these Russian mysteries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.